Welcome on this football Friday morning, May 27th. Where am my little Dallas Cowboy? Woo! Football. I raise a glass, a cup to be more accurate, of coffee to you and yours. Coffee, it's the wonder drug that works wonders. I am a coffee achiever like Ken Anderson and David Bowie were in the early 80s. Some of you remember that commercial, maybe not. Anthony Del Toro, the first one I see. There are 5 people in here right now across 3 different platforms. But welcome in, Anthony Del Toro. Someday, Anthony, we will have an NFL team in San Antonio, and they will be named the San Antonio Toros. And you, sir, will legally change your name to Anthony Del Toros, and you will be a season ticket holder. Joe Garcia, welcome in from the great state of Colorado. Jorge Chapa Jr., welcome, sir. Good to see everybody. The weekend is here. Thank goodness. I'm going to share this on my page, hopefully to acquire more viewers, which we always like. Joe Garcia says, go Spurs, go always. Ramon Rodriguez Martinez, welcome in. TGIF, Texas. Yes. See, it's not only Friday, it's a Friday in Texas, which is even better. Luisa Alanis says, finally Friday. Good morning. Chris, Shannon, and Jeremy, thank you. Jesse Bratton says, good morning from the South Side. South Side. Steve Duraco, the original rock, the original Italian stallion. You can call him Classic Rock, co-founder of the San Antonio Polar Bear Club, and a great American, and a credit to his gender, and a man who once held Maurice Lucas's big leather jacket while he signed autographs outside the Hemisphere Arena. And young Steve Duraco smelled the leather on Maurice Lucas's jacket. At the time, Maurice Lucas played for the Spirits of St. Louis alongside Marvin Barnes and Gus Gerard. But I digress. Hector Gomez, good morning. The pride of Central Catholic High School. Go Spurs, go. Jorge Chapa Jr. Wow. Joe Garcia, I can't believe that when August hits, it'll be my 20th year teaching high school math. Time flies. So, Joe, do you teach algebra or geometry or everything? Probably everything, right? Jerry Lauder. Good morning, Jerry. Who many moons ago, we did comedy at the River Center Comedy Club a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. We are close to starting this show officially. Welcome in. 11 people now across Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday morning. Hopefully this Friday and hopefully this weekend will be better than the darkness that we all experienced. Some much worse than others, obviously, with this horrible situation in Uvalde, which now becomes even more strange with varying accounts of how law enforcement handled the situation as it unfolded. But let's see. Joe Garcia teaches Algebra 1, geometry, mostly Algebra 1 and geometry. Throw some Holmes High School math in here and there. Yep. See, if I had you, Joe Garcia, you'd have had to have been born 50 years earlier. But if you were my teacher at Holmes High School, I'd have been better at math, man. I'm just saying. Here we go. Chris Silva, welcome in. We mute a little bit at the beginning for the evil Facebook overlords who like to kick us off if they hear more than 15 seconds of music. Good morning on a football Friday. We actually had that before Two Pros and a Cup of Joe. I heard that the guys in front of us on that national show, they've been using Football Friday for about a month now. We've been using it for months, 18 months. I'm just saying. It's cool. You know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Welcome in, everybody, on a Football Friday. We made it to the weekend, although the weekend began yesterday because Shannon, Jeremy, and I start our weekends on Thursday, and we invite you to as well. But for the rest of you who start your weekend on a Friday, you have made it, and not a moment too soon after it was just a rough and dark week for so many of us as we learned more about that horrible incident in Uvalde. We continue to think about and pray for and send our love to everyone affected as we learn more information there. But this is a sports talk show, so we tend to do our jobs most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. And we'll talk NBA playoffs. One ticket punched. One ticket. It's early. My caffeine hasn't kicked in yet. One team punched its ticket. We'll clean that up in post-production. One team punched its ticket to the NBA Finals last night. We'll talk about that. NFL football. Coach A, Paul Alexander, who is our football guru on a Football Friday. We ascend to the summit of Mount Landry, where we sit at the feet of our football guru, Coach A, Paul Alexander, and he will bestow football enlightenment upon us, and we will achieve total football consciousness in less than an hour. That's 7:05. Shannon Salty Shakedown in the 7:30 segment. Sports history, sports birthdays, high five play of the day coming up. Shannon Salty Sweeney, how are you on this Football Friday?
Well, as you mentioned, our weekends start on Thursday, and I sure acted like it last night. So bit of a struggle. Turtle racing was fun. We'll get into it during the shakedown, but it was a late one for me.
You know, Shannon, you're young. Someday you'll be old like me, and it's not as easy to either do all-nighters or to go late when you've got an early morning wake-up call. So my advice to you, my advice to Jeremy KOLOK and anybody who is still young or young at heart, do it. You live hard, stay up late, go party. Now, and again, I don't want to dive too far into the Salty Shakedown where you will tell us all about the turtle racing, but was that at Little Woodrow's, as you had mentioned earlier?
Yes, Little Woodrow's, the Midtown location in Houston, which is quite large and much larger than I think any of the Austin locations I've been to.
And there is at least one, and I'm sad to admit, there's at least one Little Woodrow's in San Antonio. It's over off Loop 1604 in between Blanco and 281. And I've seen the signs and I've driven by it, but it's like tucked away. So you can't even, from the access road, you can't even see Little Woodrow's. Now, Jeremy KOLOK, I see you nodding. So are you, have you been into Little Woodrow's? Can you tell us anything more about the San Antonio Little Woodrow's?
I've been there once. From what I understand, it's a popular spot in town. Even though it's tucked away, it's people find their way there.
Except for me, because I'm totally unhip. So I'm going to, now you've been to Little Woodrow's, Jeremy. Shannon's been to Little Woodrow's. Shannon partook of turtle racing yesterday. We'll hear more about it. But gosh, I gotta get out more. That's my seriously, Shannon. Ever since the pandemic, I mean, and now and again, the COVID is still out there. People just want to put that out there as a little public service announcement. I heard somebody say the other day near a swimming pool, a woman was talking to another woman, and she said, "I'm so glad COVID's over." And then the other one goes, "Yeah, COVID's definitely over." And I'm like, "Oh." Have you looked at the statistics, and have you looked at people are still dying, and have you looked at what's going on in Shanghai and Beijing, and it tends to move around the world? But I kept it to myself. I don't want to be that old man wagging a finger at two young floozies by a swimming pool.
Get off my lawn. You probably have COVID.
Exactly. Put your mask on, woman. So yeah, but so no, Shannon, I got to get out more, and good on you that you got out to the turtle races yesterday.
You went
I
to two
envy you.
concerts over the weekend.
That's true. You're right. I went to
Come on.
Austin. Okay, so that makes up for a lot
You're
of
out
my.
there in the world.
All right, I'm working on it. All right, Shannon. I don't think that because we didn't ask him. I don't think Jeremy has any funeral music queued up, but your Dallas Mavericks, as predicted by you, even though they're your team, when this series started, you said Warriors in 5, and indeed, Warriors close out the series in 5 last night. They win by 10 at home, 120-110. Your thoughts? I read some quote by Luka Doncic, Mr. Everything for the Dallas Mavericks. He did not like his performance last night, but he says he's proud of the run the Dallas Mavericks made. How you feeling about last night's game? How you feeling about the Dallas Mavericks?
As a fan, I'm not pleased that it's come to such an early end. You would hope for a conference finals that you'd be able to do more than 4-1 in the series. But as you said, Luka himself was disappointed in his performance last night, but overall happy with the team's success on the season. And, one of the knocks on him for a while has been experience, because the Mavericks get into the playoffs and they can't do anything with it. So now he's got Western Conference Finals experience. The rest of the team can take that with them, but they've got to do something in the offseason to either bring someone up who's already on that team to really help him out. Because as we saw last night and the previous game, he was starting to get worn out. He was not putting up as the 40 points we were used to seeing him put up. I believe last night he only put up 28. He just can't do it alone. So they're going to have to figure something out there, especially if they want to beat a team like the Golden State Warriors that are truly a team. And have everything kind of figured out on that end. Yeah,
and we've said it a lot lately, and we're certainly not the only ones saying it. Those Golden State Warriors, they look unbeatable in these NBA playoffs, and we'll see what the winner of Boston Miami has to say about that. But Shannon, I look at the Dallas Mavericks and what they were able to do. That Utah, until the playoffs, Utah was regarded as very, very good. So Dallas knocks off the Utah Jazz in the first round. Then they take on the team with the best record in the NBA, 64 regular season wins for the Phoenix Suns. And before the playoffs began, that's before we really saw Golden State hit their stride. Most analysts said Phoenix is going to win the NBA Finals, the NBA championship this year. Dallas, after falling down 0-2 in that series, showed amazing resiliency. They come back and win that one in 7. Never really in this series with Golden State. They could have been swept, and to their credit, they won that game 4 in Dallas, avoiding the sweep. I think that was a big deal for them. So, yeah, you're a Mavericks fan. I think if someone's a Mavericks fan, Luka Doncic, I think in these playoffs, and Jeremy, I want to get your thoughts on that, because you've watched pretty much every dribble of these NBA playoffs thus far. Jeremy, it looked to me like Luka Doncic, we knew he was great. We knew he was an all-star. We knew he was a force, but especially in that Phoenix series, it looks like Luka Doncic took his game to another level. And as Shannon mentions, now he's got a taste of the Western Conference Finals. I got a feeling if the Mavericks can upgrade their supporting cast just a little bit this offseason, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he basically carried this team. And we knew, like you said, we knew he was great. We knew he was a developing superstar and just so talented. But I think it's something else when you go into the postseason and then you lead your team to a playoff series win. Over the number 1 seed. If you think about y'all remember the Phoenix series, he was out the first 2 games and they were done. They had no chance without him. So they bring him back and it's a whole new series just with one player. Obviously it's the best player, but the impact he was able to have at this stage in his career, I think about he's always going to be compared to Trae Young, right?
Yeah.
He has surpassed him so much, and that's not a knock on Trae Young. That just speaks to the level that Luka has been able to rise to this far. And it doesn't seem like he's plateaued out yet, Chris and Shannon. It seems like he's just going to keep on getting better.
Well, and Shannon, isn't he? He's something like 22 still, Luka, isn't he? He might not peak until he's 25, 26, 27 in this league. As Spurs fans who have to contend with the Dallas Mavericks in the division, in the Western Conference, they've been natural rivals for a long time. As Spurs fans, another 10 plus years of Luka Doncic is going to be rough. The Spurs are going to have to upgrade their team in this arms race as well. But when do you think, Shannon, Luka's going to reach his peak in the NBA?
Well, so I just checked his age. You're right. He played most of the season as a 22-year-old. He turned 23 back in February. As far as a peak, I mean, age-wise, probably within the next 3 years. Would probably be peak Luka. And I'm not sure what his contract looks like, but Dallas, even though it is a large city as far as NBA markets, it's, it's still not a New York. It's still not in LA. It's still not some of those places with really rich history and success in those programs. And so I start to get worried if they don't find him help, right? They tried to do it with Porzingis. It didn't work out. If they don't get him another guy, is he going to try and take his talents elsewhere? Because, he's a guy that's clearly he wants a ring. He's willing to do it all for his team, even when he has no gas left to do it. So I need the Mavericks and that organization and the front office to figure out a way to keep him around as long as possible, especially through those prime years. And hopefully, he's kind of the next Dirk Nowitzki, of where he just spends his entire career there, which is a rarity in the NBA these days. But he's gonna need somebody to stick around and do it with.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Dirk Nowitzki, Shannon, as we know, Dirk Nowitzki was a transcendent foreign player for the Dallas Mavericks for his entire career, and yet the Mavericks only managed to get one championship with Dirk Nowitzki. For so many NBA teams, that would be plenty. I mean, getting any championship is amazing. And especially you look at Dirk Nowitzki's career, he had to play, and the Mavericks had to play at a time when you had the Spurs dynasty, them winning a bunch of championships. You had Kobe, the Lakers, including Pau Gasol and Shaq, winning a lot of titles. And you had the Miami Heat and LeBron when he was at Cleveland, all of that during the Dirk Nowitzki era in Dallas. So to even get one championship out of that is really, if you factor that in, the teams that Dallas and Nowitzki had to get through to try to win a championship, probably one championship is pretty darn impressive. But I would imagine that Mark Cuban and people like you, Shannon, who are hardcore Dallas Mavericks fans, aspire to get not just one, but multiple championships in the Luka Doncic era.
Oh, yeah. And as you said, you mentioned the team in the gauntlet that the Mavs of 2011 had to get through to finally break through and win a championship. Who are those Spurs and who's that Heat right now? It's because to me it just seems like there's Golden State. So yeah. I mean, you get past that, which you tried, you failed this time around. Maybe next year, but that to me that he's got a little bit more opportunity in that regard.
Yeah, and when you use the D word, as I did, dynasty for the Spurs and the Lakers. And the Miami Heat, that they won a couple, that whole, not a mega dynasty, but for a short burst of a dynasty when they had LeBron and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, and kind of a floating dynasty wherever LeBron went, from Miami back to Cleveland, win a title, over to LA, win a title in the bubble. So that was kind of a floating LeBron James dynasty. But now, Shannon, there is no question. You look at the Golden State Warriors, and they're probably going to win this thing now more than ever. And it was interesting. Don Harris, who joined us last week, the sports director from News 4 San Antonio, he said he's kind of pulling for the Warriors, and he equated them to the Spurs in that final championship run in 2014 with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker, even though Kawhi Leonard was on that team. But kind of a similar dynamic there, in that the Warriors won a bunch of championships with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, head coach Steve Kerr. And then with the Klay Thompson injury, they floundered. They missed the playoffs. They went into the lottery, picked up some really good players. And now here they are back. Usually when a dynasty flares in professional sports. When it's over, it's over. They usually don't put the pieces back together and then come back and win it again. Although I guess you could argue that Tom Brady and the New England Patriots did that a lot. I mean, as much as I am tired of this Golden State Warriors movie that I've seen too many times, Shannon, I gotta give kudos and give respect to what they've been able to accomplish.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and to think that last night winning the conference finals, this year they added a conference finals MVP for the East and West, Magic Johnson Trophy out in the West, and they handed that to Steph Curry. Imagine how many more he would have had that always been around, because he got the first one last night.
All right. Well, we got a lot to cover on this Football Friday. Very excited to have Coach A, Paul Alexander, join us. By the way, backing up a little bit to our early topic, and you'll hear more about Shannon's turtle races experiences coming up on her Salty Shakedown, which is a little over an hour away. But because I don't get out much, Luisa Alanis tells me there are 3 little Woodrows in San Antonio. She says there's one on Babcock. That's my old neighborhood where I grew up as a kid. I know of the one 1604 in between Blanco and 281, and she says there is a third. So I'm learning things on this show. I'm going to get to I'm going to find out if they have turtle races in San Antonio, but I will make it to a little Woodrow's. All right. Lots of ways you can join us this morning. Lots of people, including Robert Browning, joining us from Japan this morning. Robert, you may want to stick around for the next segment. I'm just saying. I think Robert Browning especially is going to like the next segment. Don't forget, Coach A, Paul Alexander, 7:05. Shannon Salty Shakedown at 7:40, just after Sports Birthday, Sports History. Oh, so join us on the live video feed and or on the crystal clear iHeartRadio app, where you have a talkback feature. You can talk back at us, anything you want to say, not only in the world of sports, but anything you want to say to us. We're open. We listen. A little microphone button, you press it, you leave a message, you send it, we get it instantly, and we play it on the air and react to it. Or dial us up on the phone lines the old-fashioned way, 800-707-9760. That's the phone number if you want to talk to Shannon Salty Sweeney, Jeremy KOLOK, and or me. We are with you till 9. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Football Friday. It's the Chris Duel Show. So yeah, Robert Browning, you want to stick around, I do believe, a little longer. Just a little spoiler alert, little heads up, little something. I'm just saying. Okay. All right, who's in here? First person I saw was Anthony Del Toro. Joe Garcia joins us from Colorado this morning. Jorge Chapa Jr., welcome. Ramon Rodriguez Martinez. Luisa Alanis, laying some knowledge on me about 3 little Woodrows in San Antonio. Jesse Bratton joins us from the South Side. Steve Duraco, the original Rock, the original Italian Stallion. Hector Gomez, the pride of Central Catholic High School. Jerry Patty Lauder used to do comedy with me at the River Center Comedy Club a million years ago. Chris Silva, what is up? Chris Silva says, what big stories? The Warriors are trash. It makes me sick watching them because they emulated Pop's system. Thank you, Chris. Tracy Bogert giving us some a link about the Astros. Gil Mata, welcome in, Gil. Haas Holding, Don Holding, the wrestler. We have a Haas Holding t-shirt in here. Look at this. There it is. Haas Holding. Romping and stomping. Thank you very much. That's Bryn Forbes, by the way, modeling the Haas Holding t-shirt. Good morning, Beth Settle. Beth, you are up early. Everybody's up early. Whoever's up right now at 6:30. Good morning, Beth. Hope you're feeling better this morning. Anthony Del Toro. Yeah, Anthony, talking about some of those stories we're hearing out of Uvalde. Man, conflicting stories, some troubling stories. John Williams joins us from Dallas. Carl Fisher, what is up, Carl? Ralph Balderas. Robert Browning from Japan. Robert, stick around another 12 minutes at least. John Williams, yeah, I'll talk about this at some point. Ray Liotta, the actor, passed away yesterday. Played shoeless Joe Jackson in Field of Dreams. Of course, he was in Goodfellas and other movies, but I loved him as shoeless Joe Jackson. So very, very cool. All right, go. There you go. Robert Browning knows we're talking about him. Cody Webb, welcome, Cody. Thank God it's Football Friday. Yeah, Hector, I agree. They are the evil empire, Golden State. I know everybody loves Steph Curry. They think he's a cuddly teddy bear, but I've had enough. And I love Steve Kerr. Haas Holding asks, do you think the Spurs will draft 3 players or trade for a future first rounder later? First of all, and you've heard me say this, Haas, when we think we know what the Spurs are going to do, we never know. They are the CIA. That's why they call him CIA Pop. I got a feeling. I think they're close. They got a lot of cap room. So I think it could go either way. Because they got a lot of cap room, I think they'll sign a very good, serviceable free agent, veteran, to help them do what they do. And because of that, maybe they go youth movement. Now, somebody said the other day, a listener said there's no way the Spurs are going to pay 3 rookie first-round salaries. Usually you make somebody a first-round draft pick, you got to pay them more money than a second-round draft pick or a free agent. Now, the Spurs, remember, they like to do draft and stash. So maybe those second 2 first-round draft picks are in the 20s. So maybe the Spurs draft some Euros and stash them. That would not be a shocker. So I'm going to go ahead and predict that. With their first pick, number 9 overall, they're going to draft a player who can contribute right away. Don't forget that 9th round draft pick for the Spurs is the highest since Tim Duncan in 1997. They drafted Tim Duncan at number 1, appropriately. Since then, no pick has been close to number 9. I think Kawhi was at number 13. So I will predict they draft a player they can use with their first pick and the next 2 first-round picks in the 20s. I'm going to say they're going to draft and stash European players who have a big upside, but they're going to keep an eye on them and see if they develop. Again, as I say that, nobody knows, and nobody can predict. And oh, by the way, as we know, the Spurs know what they're doing, except for a logo design. I do like the 50th anniversary logo. The others, meh. Yeah, no question. Tracy, we went through the list the other day. I think Dirk Nowitzki was a number 9 of players you can get at number 9. Don Harris had... I may have even bookmarked that tweet. Yeah, here are number 9 picks. Dirk Nowitzki at number 9 in 1998. Tracy McGrady, number 9 in 1997. Amari Stoudemire, number 9 in 2002. DeMar DeRozan, number 9 in 2009. And Kemba Walker, a number 9 pick in 2011. So to your point, Tracy Bogert, yes, there have been some amazing players drafted at number 9. And remember, when they draft him, I want the Spurs to play Revolution number 9 by the Beatles. Number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9. Like 3 people get that reference. Hector Gomez got that reference. Nobody else. That's okay. Some of these are just for me. Oh, thank you, Tracy. Number 9, number 9, number 9. Woo, woo. All right. Buenos dias, Jason Paniagua. ¿Cómo está usted? A todos mis amigos. Yo necesito muchas cervezas, por favor. ¿Y dónde está la biblioteca? Who the hell? Why did they teach us that in high school? I guess because you had a library. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Can't use that today. John Williams, I believe you're saying Love Potion number 9, which is a great song. Love Potion number 9. Yeah, you got to play that one too. Yeah. Are there any other number 9 songs? Revolution number 9 and Love Potion number 9. Woo. Bueller. Luis Alvarez. Yeah, Luis, it's a Friday, man. I'm in a good mood on a Friday and a 3-day weekend for many of us. Although, let us underscore, and we need to say this on the radio. Don't forget, and I know the people in here don't, but it's remember Memorial Day for what Memorial Day is, honoring the sacrifice of the men and women who have answered our country's call. I think some people regard Memorial Day as National Barbecue Day. Oh, look at that. Don Holding says just anything by 9 Inch Nails. There you go. Okay, 9 Inch Nails, Revolution number 9 by the Beatles on the White Album, which may be the weirdest song ever. I've never done drugs while listening to Revolution number 9 by the Beatles, but when I listen to Revolution number 9 by the Beatles, I feel like I'm doing drugs. I'm just saying. Karen Evil 9 ELP. I don't know that one, Robert. I'm unhip, man. Here we go.
We're back. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Join in by dialing 800-707-9760.
Waited till he finished high school.
Yes.
To Hollywood, got a tattoo. He met a girl out there with a tattoo chip. It was wide open.
Into the great wide open. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Jeremy KOLOK. Give me some Tom Petty any hour of the day, any day of the week. In my car on Sirius XM, which I never listen to, of course, because I keep it locked on AM radio, either Ticket 760 or AM 1300 The Zone. But when there's a little static and when I occasionally listen to Sirius XM, one of my go-to channels, Tom Petty Radio. Loves me some Tom Petty, the late great Tom Petty. Lost him way too soon in 2017. Welcome in. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Just about 20 minutes away now. We will ascend to the summit of Mount Landry, and we will meet up with our football guru, Coach A. Paul Alexander, and he will bestow football knowledge upon us, football enlightenment, and all of us will achieve total football consciousness, and we will awaken as football fans. I know that's a big sell, but it's coming. Believe me. Trust me. I wouldn't lie to you, as far as you know. A little bit later, the Shannon Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays, and you can join us along the way. Very, very cool. All right. Anything else, Shannon, that we need to cover or pimp before the high five play of the day? Anything else on your mind?
I don't think so. I think you nailed it. Good job, sir.
Oh, you're the strong silent type. There you go.
My back?
Woo! Not hearing you. What the?
Well,
what
this
is
is
going on?
interesting again.
Somebody is jamming our signal, and we got to get that fixed before the high five play of the day. Jeremy, is it related to the audio only stream?
I mean, I'm sure it is, but we're gonna have to consult with obviously our engineers in the back. And
yes,
but I don't see the source of it like I did yesterday.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look into it right now.
Our crack engineers on crack. All right, Shannon. Now and then, say a few words in your microphone, and we'll see if we hear you.
I'll try my best.
Don't just yet. Yeah, still not hearing you yet.
Still not working.
We'll try to fix that in a moment here for the high five play of the day. Something I do want to mention. Yeah, and this happened yesterday morning at this time. They hear you loud and clear on Facebook. So on the StreamYard app, you're going out. So by the way, if you're watching the live video feed, you can hear Shannon.
Shannon, can you talk for me for a second?
Here we
just
go.
so we
I can talk for you.
Yes.
I think our
We're
engineers
back.
in the back, our
Woo!
team.
Yay!
See, everybody, don't try
Okay.
this at home. We
It's
are
my last day in
professional.
Houston, y'all.
We are
We've done pretty
professional
well.
radio broadcasters. We have nothing but the finest, high-tech, highfalutin equipment in studios of the future, brought to you by iHeartRadio. So, and Jeremy KOLOK, you solved the problem. You're like a NASA engineer during Apollo 13. Houston, we've got a problem. And actually, Shannon's in Houston. Houston, we've got a problem. No problem. We got Gene Kranz and all the engineers at NASA. We'll fix it. Jim Lovell. We'll bring you guys back home. Who are the other astronauts? Fred Hayes and Swigert. What was Swigert's first name? Jim Swigert? How can I forget the name of one of the Apollo 13 astronauts? It was only April of 1970. Okay.
I think you're looking for Jack Swigert.
Jack Swigert. Thank you. Who filled in for Measles Mattingly. The original astronaut in that seat got the measles before the Apollo 13 flight. So Jack Swigert wound up going on Apollo 13. Okay, that was a weird segue. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's weird on a football Friday, and it's going to get weirder. Here it is. Robert Browning, hope you're hanging out with us this morning from Japan. We'd like to call this segment the High Five Play of the Day. It is appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. Someday they're coming to San Antonio. I have offered to trade a Las Palapas to Austin for a high five. Still waiting on that return phone call. Hasn't come yet. I'm looking at the phone right now. It's not lighting up, but you know, they're busy because they got so much going on at the 2 high five locations in Austin. Big screen TVs everywhere. You can watch sports to your heart's content. They got great food, great drinks, food specials, drink specials, and all kinds of games you can play. They got bowling, they got laser tag, they got axe throwing, they got zombie dodgeball, and more. Get into one of the 2 high five locations in the Austin area. Shannon Salty Sweeney, who is deserving of a high five this morning?
Well, Chris, you mentioned space there, and I think it was really just in the back of your mind because we are taking things to new heights with this high five play of the day, which is going to our very own Robert Browning, a gentleman who joins us a lot on the live stream, who is over in Japan and is about to take on Mount Fuji. And he tweeted us late Monday night. So I feel like you were like me. You probably saw it first thing Tuesday morning. He sent us a video, and we'll go ahead and play that video for you here now.
Cheetah Trail on Mount Fuji. No, today is not the climb, but I am getting some training in, on the job training, and why not come to the source and get a little bit of altitude in my system to learn how to breathe this high. So we're 2.5 weeks out from the hike up to there, summit, where I will plant the Spurs flag. And it's going to be one of the more epic encounters and endeavors I've ever done. So I'm looking forward to it. I love you guys. I love the show. And go Spurs, go.
Robert Browning sent us that video, and social media did its thing because that tweet was picked up by San Antonio news station KENS 5, and now there's an entire article on Robert Browning and his mission to climb to the top of Mount Fuji. The article, if you want to check it out, is called "Fan on a Mission to Plant Spurs Flag at Atop Japan's Mount Fuji." They've also included that original tweet, Mount Fuji, for those interested and who've ever considered climbing it. It is no small feat. It is 3,776 meters. Elevation is 12,388 feet in is among Japan's 100 mountains, and it's a big one. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's been training for it, so I wish him luck. And Robert Browning, thank you for including us on your journey. A very large high five to you, and we'll give you another one once you do make it atop that mountain.
Very, very cool. And I mean, anybody who's been to Japan, and certainly Robert's there, and our good friend Taro Kotani is there. Mount Fuji, you can see it from so far away. It is, I mean, think of any huge mountain in any country that you can see. Mount Fuji, I can't even imagine. Robert told us he was getting ready for that climb the other day, and going to altitude. The hardest part of making one of these climbs is existing at high altitude and not getting altitude sickness. So before his climb, Robert, is training and climbing at high altitude, and then he's going to go for it and plant that Spurs flag. And I will see to it, Robert, as well. And I'm sure they probably already know, but being a part of Spurs Radio on 1200 WOAI and across the Spurs Radio Network, and working with the great Bill Schoening on Spurs Radio. Once that Spurs season begins, Robert, in addition to any other accolades you get for this incredible feat, I will make sure that we announce it during a Spurs game on Spurs Radio as well. In fact, probably the very first Spurs preseason game, I'll include that as part of my sports highlights. And if you've got I imagine, Robert, you'll shoot a video from up there as well. We'll use some of that audio. So I just think it's so cool. And kudos to KENS 5, the TV station in San Antonio, the CBS affiliate. Jeff Garcia, a friend of the show, who picked up on it as well. He writes for them. And I hope it's the first of many. And we will continue to pimp it on the radio side as well. So Robert Browning, man, way to go. That's way cool.
You
Go
big
ahead,
hiker, Chris?
Shannon. I am not. I've hiked a little bit, like at Yosemite. So I'm not at all a big hiker. When I was younger, did it a little bit, but I mean, that's a whole different breed of cat. When you climb something like that, I'm a Facebook friend of a woman who used to be the chief meteorologist at News 4 in San Antonio, where Don Harris works. Her name is Jennifer Broom, and she's now a meteorologist at another major television station. I think she's in Denver. I could be wrong. Anyway, she went to the Himalayas like 3 weeks ago to climb Mount Everest. And she's sending back Facebook video and photos of going to like base camp at Mount Everest. And I don't think she went all the way up. I mean, people die. Lots of people die every year climbing Mount Everest. I was kind of scared for her. But she got pretty darn high, and she got to the final base camp. So for Robert Browning climbing Mount Fuji, and for Jennifer Broom, I know a lot of our listeners in the San Antonio area will remember Jennifer Broom, to climb Mount Everest. I mean, that's crazy. I can't. I have a hard time climbing stairs at the AT&T Center, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it's not my idea of a vacation.
No, but I love it. I mean, I love it's like, again, back when I was younger and in shape, it's like running a marathon. It's like saying, what can I do to challenge myself? And there it is. Robert Browning living in Japan, and he sent us photos, he sent us videos. You can see it in the video. You just played the audio from Shannon. There it is, this huge, towering, gorgeous Mount Fuji, and he's, and if you've got that in you, you're looking at that every day, and it's beckoning you, and you're saying, "Damn, I need to climb that thing."
Yeah.
So, Jeremy KOLOK, are you, Shannon? I'll put Shannon's question to you. Are you a hiker? What is in your lifetime? What's the tallest hike you've ever made? Whether it's a mountain, whether you climb the stairs of the Tower of the Americas, whether you climb to the top of DKR, what's your highest climb?
Probably to get to the top of Jerry World to watch Kyler Murray run all over them boys last year.
Nice.
That's probably it. But I like hiking outside, Chris, but I don't know if I could hike up a mountain. I don't know if that's for me. I like hiking on even ground, because then you take in the nature, and maybe the three of us should go on a hike. Maybe this is kind of inspiring me here.
That would be like the greatest race, or the amazing race. I think we'd wind up wanting to kill each other, because I'd be doing a lot of whining. My feet hurt. I got blisters. I'm thirsty. There's no beer up here. Yeah.
Are we there yet?
You guys would probably throw me off the mountain after a while. So anyway, very, very cool. Kudos to Robert Browning, and he's joining us right now on the live video feed. So we thank him. I will maybe talk more about this, Shannon, later in the show, but somebody did mention, I think John Williams mentioned on the live video feed. I did tweet and post about it. Ray Liotta, the actor, passed away yesterday. I think he was 67. He played, celebrated for being in Goodfellas. He was 67. Celebrated for his role in Goodfellas and a lot of other movies. But for me, Shannon, my favorite movie ever is Field of Dreams, and Ray Liotta played Shoeless Joe Jackson in the movie Field of Dreams, and that is why the Kevin Costner character, Ray Kinsella, wanted to build that baseball field in the cornfield of Iowa, because Shoeless Joe Jackson was his dad's favorite ball player, and he wanted to bring Shoeless Joe Jackson back. And to this day, Ray Liotta's performance as Shoeless Joe Jackson to me is just brilliant and moving, and sometimes funny and poignant. So a notable passing in the acting world, which intersected into the sports world because he was in Field of Dreams.
Still haven't seen that movie, Chris.
I will get it to you. I own it. I own multiple DVDs. I own the 25th anniversary DVD. I own the 30th anniversary DVD. I got the VHS version, and I bought it on Apple Plus on iTunes. So if hopefully I can just gift it to you and or give you my code so you can just watch it, stream it online. It's like a 4K version. It's very, very cool. All right. Speaking of climbing mountains, we will climb Mount Landry, the high summit, the holy high summit of football. At the very top of the mountain is our football guru, Coach A, Paul Alexander. We will sit at his feet. He will bestow football knowledge, football enlightenment upon us, and collectively, all of us, including you listening right now, we will achieve total football consciousness in the very next segment. What does he feel about Colin Kaepernick? Will he be on the Raiders roster? That and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy KOLOK is your Soundscape stylist. Coach A, Paul Alexander, joins us next. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Woo! All right. Yeah, Robert Browning, man, you may be the record holder. You may be the record holder. I don't know if anybody else has gotten 2 high fives by us. Maybe DeJounte Murray. Maybe you and DeJounte Murray. Philip Longoria wants the Silver Dancers back. That was too bad that they went away. Michelle Johnson from Marysville, Kansas, welcome in. Yeah, there you go, John Williams. Ray Liotta didn't die. He went back to the cornfields. Lucinda Sullivan joins us. Lucinda, the organizer. You know, I said one of the organizers. I think Lucinda is the organizer of the Bill Schoening 1 week from yesterday. The Bill Schoening book signing and more. He'll play music and tell tales. June 2nd, 4 p.m. That's next Thursday at the Barn Door Restaurant. In fact, I am going to, while I run down and heat up my coffee, I will pimp that event by putting the poster up. There it is. So that's everything you need to know about the book launch event. I will be right back with some hot coffee.
The future will be amazing. And that's a lot of good. But what about today? You can feel the rush of a 400 horsepower Nissan Sweeney. Or climb to new heights in the all-terrain Nissan Frontier. Light up the road in the all-electric Nissan Harley that feels like a sci-fi dream come true. The future will be great, but today it's made for thrill. All you have to do is get in a Nissan and drive. 2023 RPG, you have to be able to purchase a second vehicle related to spring 2023 with offer from Jersey Army.
All right. Here we go. All right. Where's my Paul Alexander photo? Coach A joining us within minutes, like 3 minutes. There he is. Wow, look at that. Robert Browning says, I'm not stopping at Fuji. Once I get to California, I'll start training for Mount Whitney. 14,500 feet, the tallest in the contiguous United States. Very cool. Jason says, my Bill Schoening book arrives today from Amazon. Beautiful. Bring it next Thursday if you can. Okay, so there's Paul. All right. Paul Alexander of radicallyrational.com. I always recommend that site. John Williams sent me an Elvis video. Thank you, John. Nothing like the King in the morning. I'm all about that. I love the King. Fonzie J. Rodriguez says, good morning. The Dodgers are on fire. All right, Fonzie, just remember, all glory is fleeting. You may be happy now, sir, but the Houston Astros have a little something waiting for you in the postseason. Verlander leads all of Major League Baseball in ERA at 1.22. Verlander will be on the mound for the Astros tonight. Let's see. We're getting close. Woo! Woo! Robert, that's a good idea. Enchanted Rock. I have climbed Enchanted Rock. So maybe that is my highest height. Enchanted Rock is a very good idea. Joe Garcia. Happy to have Coach A, Paul Alexander, on this show. Very cool. Here we come. Segment about to begin. Got to mute a little bit for our evil Facebook overlords who like to kill our video if they hear 15 seconds of music, which they contend we don't have the right to play, but we're a radio station, so we pay for the ASCAP and BMI rights to the music.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
Not today, Zuckerberg.
Now, Chris Duel.
You have made it to the weekend, to Football Friday. And we're glad we made it to Friday and the weekend, because this was such a dark week in America with that god-awful, horrific tragedy, mass shooting in Uvalde. But we're a sports talk show, so we talk a lot of sports, although we do at times, when something is affecting all of us, we take the liberty, and I believe it's our responsibility to talk with you about the big things that matter. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. That's why our next guest is easily one of our favorites, and this segment is easily one of our true favorites of the week. We love when we can have Coach A, Paul Alexander of RadicallyRational.com, which I highly recommend that website, especially in days like these. Coach A, Paul Alexander, welcome back. How are you this morning?
Always look forward to Friday mornings with you, and I respect the fact that this is a sports talk show, and that goes on. I do have some views on the other things, but I could direct people who care about that someplace. So just know that talking sports with you guys, and particularly talking football with you guys every Friday, is really one of the highlights of my week.
Well, and Paul, in a moment, I will ask you, we can't do this segment with you and not get your thoughts on what happened in Uvalde earlier this week. So in a second, I'm going to ask you that. I first want to tell you and Shannon and Jeremy, I want to thank you, Paul. You were in here a week ago for me. You were in here on Monday for me. And I listened to most of Friday's show as I was getting ready to go out of town. And it was just magnificent. You, Shannon, Jeremy, you guys had James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And it's kind of weird when you host a show, Paul, and then you listen to the guy filling in for you on the show, and you think to yourself, damn, the show sounds better when Paul, it does. No, I'm listening to it going, damn, that's a good show. It's like, so no. So anyway, first of all, Paul, I want to thank you for that. And now in a dramatic shift of gears, I do. And I thought about this all week, ever since the god-awful events that happened in Uvalde. We cannot have you on this show now a few days out without your perspective. And I know, and this is why I urge everybody to go to your website, RadicallyRational.com. Yes, Paul talks sports, and yes, Paul is often very entertaining and fun at RadicallyRational.com, but he also talks about things that matter in our lives in a big way and with a very unique perspective. And Paul, with that being said, you and I and Shannon and Jeremy haven't talked with you since Uvalde happened. Just your thoughts on this Friday as we finish out this dark, dark week in America.
In as tight a paragraph as I can construct, we have the ability to solve this problem and make it better. And particularly with something of this moral magnitude, if we have the ability to make it better, we have the obligation to make it better. I'm not saying this is not a complex issue. It's incredibly complex. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of factors that influence why we are where we are, but we're there. This is just my point. Guns are not the only issue. I'm not saying they are. But we have a group of people right now, when the issue is gun deaths, treat the word gun as a taboo. In other words, I'm not saying that's the sole factor, but if you're unwilling to list that among the factors, that we have easy access to killing machines that exist for no other reason than to be killing machines, and we do nothing to keep those things out of the hands of the people who kill our children, that is a measure of our values. That means, by definition, we love guns more than we love kids. I'm kind of morally offended by that. I have nothing against guns. I don't hate guns. I'm smarter than that. Guns are inanimate objects. But acting like guns have nothing to do with this, I just can't take it seriously if that's your position. And again, Chris, you've been so wonderful with your time here. I just posted about a 7-minute video on my website at Radically Rational that I want to invite everybody to take a look at, along with this morning's blog. And it includes some statistics that may surprise you, but that are conclusive. I do think there are times when sports and societal issues kind of go hand in hand. And one thing that I'm eternally grateful to God for is that the head football coach in Uvalde, that's the man that needs to be there. His name is Wade Miller. He is as good a man as I have ever met. He is created for this moment. The city of Uvalde is lucky to have Wade Miller, and Wade Miller is lucky to have them, and they're going to love each other. And this is one of those situations where it's just a wonderful blessing that that man is in that place right now.
Well, as you mentioned, so often sports does intersect with other areas of our lives, and a lot of people seek refuge in sports to get away and to find enjoyment. And enjoyment, a little bit harder to find during the dog days of summer, but it is the NFL OTA season going on right now. We've seen a couple stories from a couple different organizations come out this week. But what are your thoughts on OTAs? Because it seems like the bigger stories are who is and who isn't attending said OTAs. How important are these, do you feel like, for the development of teams in the offseason?
You know, it's funny. This is one of the things I addressed in the sports blog this morning. You know who I think is cool? I've always thought cool. John Harbaugh is cool. In fact, John Harbaugh is almost as cool as his brother is uncool. Everybody's trying to get him all worked up about Lamar Jackson not being there, and he just didn't take the bait. He said it's voluntary, we'll work this out. I mean, that's the way you handled that. You know, the Packers kind of doing the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I do think there are times, particularly when you had, you know, a big influx of new personnel, where those OTAs are critically important, okay? That's a big deal in Kansas City. That's a big deal in Miami right now. But I think the coaches who kind of play it cool are the ones that are playing it properly. And I think ultimately that promotes team unity.
He is Coach A. Paul Alexander of RadicallyRational.com with us. Paul, earlier, a couple of days ago, I saw HBO's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, and they did a segment on the accusers of Deshaun Watson, and the interviewer was Soledad O'Brien. She interviewed two of the accusers, and it wasn't easy to watch. It was graphic what these ladies described, but then they brought on one of the attorneys for Deshaun Watson. At first said, nope, no interview. You can't have Deshaun. We have no comment. We think you're going to do a hit piece. And then they said right before they went to air, the attorneys for Deshaun Watson said, well, we changed our mind. We're going to give you a female attorney, which I think is brilliant lawyering. When a man is accused of these heinous assaults, bring on a female attorney who is an advocate for that man, in this case, Deshaun Watson. And that attorney pointed out that there were at least 3 women who consensually, after these massage sessions, had sexual conduct with Deshaun Watson. And she asserted as well that a number of women among the 22 accusers after these events still had a relationship with Deshaun on Instagram, and some of them even asked him out on dates. And I got to believe maybe that's part of what tainted the grand juries in Houston to therefore say we're not going to file criminal charges. But I just want to check with you, Paul. Now speaking of OTAs, Deshaun Watson is at OTAs with Cleveland. And he's putting up nice pictures of himself on Instagram in Browns gear and throwing the football. How do you think the league handles this? Ezekiel Elliott was not charged criminally, but he got 6 games. What do you think the league does to Deshaun Watson?
I think we should not count on seeing Deshaun Watson on a football field this season. I realize that's a drastic statement, but if you plot this and you look at this and you do some comparisons here, and you mentioned Zeke with the 6 games, well, this far outstrips that, at least in terms of the way the league looks at it. And for obvious reasons, the league particularly sensitive about issues like this one, as it should be. So I think that Jolly Roger is going to sit him down for a good long time. And to your other point, what some of these women were saying, and they're not wrong, is that to date, not only has Deshaun Watson not suffered any consequences here, he got paid full salary last year for not taking a snap or ever showing up for practice, okay? And then he gets traded, and he has a $230 million guaranteed contract. That does not happen in the NFL. So the position of some of these women is, not only was there no price to be paid, he actively, tangibly got rewarded for this. I can't say they're wrong.
From one of the most controversial quarterbacks in the league to some of the favorites in Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, they will take each other on in a golf tournament. The latest installation of The Match next week. Now, our good friend Andy Everett, not a big fan of these type of get-togethers and putting them on TV. And probably for the NFL, they probably help the NFL more than they help the PGA. But does this excite you at all to get to see these guys hanging out, doing something other than football, and particularly teaming up for probably the first time ever, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady?
P.T. Barnum was right when he said there's a sucker born every minute, and that sucker is me. Yes, I'm going to find this entertaining. Yes, I can't wait. This is pretty cool.
Well, and speaking, Paul, of football players doing things in sports other than football, Shannon and I have been talking, and the NFL is trying to come up with ways to make the Pro Bowl and the Pro Bowl week better. And I brought this up yesterday to Shannon and Jeremy. When I was a kid, and I know you know it well, Paul, we used to watch on ABC's Wide World of Sports on the weekend, the Superstars competition, which was great fun. They'd run 100-yard dash. They do bicycle races. They do a tug of war. They'd play tennis. Roger Staubach was in the competition. I know O.J. Simpson won the competition at least once. What I'm amazed by, Paul, as we always discuss, the NFL is king. The draft is even when the season's not going on, the draft is a huge deal. The run up to the draft is a huge deal. The schedule release show is a big deal. I am amazed that the NFL, which knows how to market everything better than any other league on the face of this earth, can't figure out how to make the Pro Bowl must-see TV. Paul, what if the NFL called you up? And you have many years as a television executive and many years as a broadcaster in television and radio. What would you tell the NFL it could do to upgrade the Pro Bowl experience?
I think you're going right down the right road. Where is Kyle Rote Jr. when you need stars thing? And here is the problem, because I would watch that and understand to a certain degree, the NFL's playing with house money. We all saw the Pro Bowl last year. Okay, of all the historical Pro Bowl travesties, that was absolutely the worst. I mean, it actually got to the point where they would not tackle a guy, where they just blow him dead, okay? And here's why they're playing with house money. Did you see the ratings on that? People watched it. I watched it. So they almost can't mess up. Now, here's the problem with the Superstars skill competition thing, which I would be in on. It's the potential for injury. Remember a few years back, Robert Edwards, that wonderful emerging running back for the Patriots? I mean, this guy was looking like he was going to be Dwayne Thomas or something. Well, Pro Bowl, they're having this little exhibition touch football game on the beach in Hawaii, Rex's knee, never played another down in the NFL. That would be my concern. And that would be the concern of the Players Association.
Coach, out in Las Vegas, Derek Carr has been given the confidence and has been told he's the guy for the Raiders. But we learned this week that Colin Kaepernick received a workout with that team. Based on what we've seen from Colin Kaepernick in the past, as far as his playing ability, what would make him right to be on that roster, be a backup in this league? And do you think the media attention might be too much to sway Las Vegas to go the other way?
Mm-hmm. I still think it's unlikely that he's going to get signed for a variety of reasons. He hasn't played football in 6 years. And I know this is patently unfair. But remember when he had a throwing session at Michigan's spring intra-squad game? I mean, that thing was not coming off his hand right. So I think that's the biggest issue. And the other thing is, whoever signs it, if you do, there's going to be an enormous backlash, regardless of how unfair and ridiculous it is. So do you want to go through all of that for a guy who is, at this point, if anything, a backup quarterback? Because this is no threat to Derek Carr whatsoever. The one thing I will say, of the 32 teams who might do this, the most likely is, in fact, the Raiders. The Davis family has always been kind of social engineers, dating back to the debut of the AFL back in 1960. This is a place that would be willing to take the heat, if you will. So I don't know that I consider it likely, but his best last shot is with the Raiders.
Yeah, and Coach, in addition to that, I think jersey sales, I mean, that Kaepernick 49ers jersey still has amazing numbers. If the Raiders took this on, I think, black and silver Kaepernick jersey sales would probably go through the roof, and that would financially benefit the Raiders and the NFL. It is certainly something to keep an eye on. Coach A, Paul Alexander from RadicallyRational.com with us. Paul, it's been a week since I listened to you on this show, and the big hot topic that morning was Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban and that war. It's been a week, and the SEC itself has kind of calmed it down a little bit by not allowing any of its coaches to speak publicly. Lane Kiffin, as Shannon documented a few days ago and yesterday on this show, Lane Kiffin was supposed to be on the Dan Patrick show last Friday, and an edict came down from the SEC that coaches will not speak about this or at all until we give you permission. And apparently Lane Kiffin obeyed that ruling. Your thoughts, we're a week out, and you did say, and I listened to the show on Friday, and I agree with you, this is the feud not only of the college football season this year. All eyes will be on Tuscaloosa on October 8th, but maybe it's the biggest feud of the next few years in college football. How you feeling about this, that you've had a week to digest it, and what do you think is next in this controversy/rivalry?
Couple of bullet points. How upside down is the world when Lane Kiffin is now the voice of reason? That got my attention. Now, with respect to the Jimbo v. Saban thing, this is like that old Cold War standoff, mutually assured destruction. Neither one of them is going to do anything going forward. So that will remain an eternal standoff. We'll love it. I'll love it. It'll spice things up. So, but here's the thing. Saban has nothing to be afraid of in Jimbo. I also understand Jimbo's outrage. I really do. But here's who Saban ought to fear. He ought to be deathly afraid of Deion Sanders, because Deion Sanders would have the will and capacity to really put him in a bad place by portraying this as a David versus Goliath thing. Now you've got Alabama crying and belittling Jackson State. And if nothing else, Deion, in addition to being one of the great athletes in NFL history, Deion is a very savvy guy, and he is clearly really ticked right now. I would be very afraid of Deion Sanders. And let me say this. If I'm the Jolly Roger, I'm afraid of John Gruden. I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's another big story to keep an eye on, as a judge would not toss out Gruden's case against the NFL. It will go forward, and I totally agree with you, Paul. There's probably a lot of emails, a lot of damning emails out there that we haven't even conceived of yet. Finally, Paul, I do want to mention this. Yesterday, we got some clarification on some college football games of note. I will note that in the first game of the season for both teams, your beloved Rice Owls will travel to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum on Saturday, September 3rd, to take on Lincoln Riley and my beloved USC Trojans. That's a 5 o'clock kickoff in the Central Time Zone. Paul, I think you and I need to make an LA road trip. I know you've been out to the Coliseum before, but not when it's been Rice USC. You and I might have to just head on out to LA September 3rd.
I did make a pilgrimage several years ago. I saw Rice play at UCLA in the Rose Bowl, and that actually was a halfway decent game getting into the fourth quarter until Maurice turned it upside down for UCLA. So obviously that was not like real reason, but I would love to do that. The only thing is, though, it's like scheduling your own execution. Would you please tell your Trojans to hold it under 200?
Hopefully Lincoln Riley will do that, Paul. I'm going to love the game on multiple levels, especially knowing your absolute love and affection for Rice Owls football. And finally, Paul, we now know that on September 17th, we know the kickoff time and the network for UTSA at the Texas Longhorns. We're so intrigued by this. Shannon, you and I have talked regularly with Jeff Traylor, the UTSA head football coach. A nighttime game, 7 o'clock kickoff. It's on the Longhorn Network. I always think about Appalachian State when they beat Michigan in a game like this. I know we're a long way out from September 17th, but are you as geeked up for this contest as I am?
I can't wait. And I've spent part of this segment constructing a list of men who ought to be sorely afraid. Steve Sarkisian, be afraid. Be very afraid.
Exactly. Finally, Coach, I know we talked about it at the top of the segment, but I just want to mention it one more time, especially in a moment like this, a dark moment in America. You are one of the voices of truth and wisdom and practicality and rationality in this lone wilderness. That's why I recommend radicallyrational.com. If somebody hasn't sampled the website yet, Paul, why would you tell them they should go take a look at it?
Well, I do want to issue a special invitation for this morning because there's some things on the website this morning that are particularly timely, particularly relevant. I do think it reflects the attitude and the approach of Radically Rational. I don't want it to be preachy, but I do want to introduce some facts into this because our whole premise is that we need to get back to a fact-based society and quit granting ourselves the license to believe or disbelieve any fact that we just find inconvenient. So that's there. This morning in particular, there is a daily video that I'm hoping kind of lays out this whole issue with what's going on in Uvalde. There is a blog post as well. So, I try to keep this fresh every day, and anytime you visit, it is very much appreciated, but I would like to extend a special invitation to please check out that video this morning.
It is one of my favorite websites, radicallyrational.com. And Coach A, Paul Alexander, is one of my favorite thinkers on this planet. And I highly recommend you go check that out. Coach A, Paul Alexander, we love everything you do for this show, man. Thanks for taking the time this morning. We appreciate it.
You guys are my heroes. I'm glad you had a great time at those two shows. That must have been wonderful.
It was great fun. Thank you so much, Coach A, Paul Alexander. Go look at radicallyrational.com, especially today and this morning. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown on a Football Friday, this day in sports history, sports birthdays, and more. Don't go anywhere. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Joe Garcia says radio gold, and he is. And it's so true. I was listening to the show on Friday as I was getting ready to go to Austin. Paul was filling in, and I'm going, damn, The show sounds better when Paul Alexander is in my place. he's that good. I just appreciate everything he's done for us. He's so good. So go check out his website. Woo! Okay, let me look at my sports history and sports birthdays. Let's see. Ramon Rodriguez Martinez says the highest sea level in San Antonio, Lookout Mountain off Nacogdoches and O'Connor. I'm going to have to check that out. I did not know that. I grew up in this town and I didn't know that. That's news I can use. Oh, I got to stretch a little bit. Need to plug in my phone. My iPhone is several years old. And it's at that point, I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have had this experience. The older your phone gets, the less of a charge your battery maintains. And I believe... Exactly. We got a mountain in San Antonio, Robert. You're going to have to come conquer it. See, I believe it's engineered. It's planned obsolescence by Apple. You know, and the other companies, because by the time, you know, your phone's they want you to buy a new phone every 2 years. And gosh, this one's at least 5 years old, maybe more. I'd have to look it up as to when I got it. But I'm now at the point where if I don't, the one day I didn't plug it in and charge it at work was the day my car broke down on Loop 410. And so I'm dealing with roadside assistance. I'm dealing with roadside assistance from USAA, and it's all automated. I couldn't talk to anybody. I was trying it. It's all web-based, and my phone was dying because I didn't charge the battery. So I've kind of learned to charge the phone. Learned that the hard way. Louisa says Mount Bonnell, or is it Bonnell? Bonnell or Bonnell in Austin is good practice. All right. That might be my next big thing. Mountain climbing. That way I'll meet up with Robert Browning and we'll go ascend Lookout Mountain in San Antonio. I'm going to plant a Spurs flag atop Lookout Mountain in San Antonio and make a video. Okay, Mount Fuji's a little more impressive. Ray Liotta died in his sleep in the Dominican Republic while filming a new movie called Dangerous Waters. My goodness. Hector Gomez says if you've seen recent photos of Ray Liotta, he did not look well. That's sad. He was 67. Whoa, Jason Paniagua says go see Top Gun. It's fantastic. Yeah, Amber was in here yesterday saying she was going to see it. I didn't see her come in and give her review, but we give it a thumbs up from Jason Paniagua. Thank you for that. Wow, Robert, that's news I can use. Google Pixel battery life. It's insane. I have a Pixel 2 XL. It's almost 6 years old, and it still holds a decent charge. Good to know. I do like the iPhone. It's going to be hard for me to move off the iPhone, but that would certainly be a contributing factor. John Williams says, hike the Grand Canyon. My wife and I did the mule ride all the way to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back up on the mules. You go down to the very bottom of the Grand Canyon on mules. You stay at a place called Phantom Ranch overnight, and you get up the next morning and you mule ride back up. And it was fun. Here we go.
The Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Find Chris and Salty on Twitter at Chris Duel and at Shannon B. Sweeney.
Ramble on. Woo! Just letting that music wash over you. Jeremy KOLOK is your Soundscape stylist. Welcome in on a football Friday. It is the Chris Duel Show. Shannon Salty Sweeney and her salty shakedown on a football Friday is moments away. Want to remind you, if you want to jump in here at any time, you are always welcome. Lots of people joining us on the live video feed that you can access via Facebook Live or Twitter or YouTube. And you've also got that free iHeartRadio app. We love the talkback feature, little microphone button at the bottom of your smartphone. You press the microphone button, you leave us a message, you press send. We get it instantly, and we play it on the air, and we react to what you're talking about, whether it's the NBA playoffs, the NFL, Colin Kaepernick, football, and more. So do that. And, of course, dial us up at any time if you want to call us the old-fashioned way. We like that as well. 800-707-9760. Before the Salty Shakedown, how about some sports birthdays and this day in sports history? On this day in 1968, Papa Bear George Halas retires from coaching. He was coach of the Chicago Bears. He was essentially founder of the Chicago Bears. I think they were the Chicago Staleys before they became the Chicago Bears. He was a madman. George Halas finished with 318 regular season victories and 6 NFL titles. George Halas, Hall of Famer, one of the integral founders of the National Football League. He was kind of a big deal. On this day in 1984, the Indianapolis 500, it was Rick Mears winning his second Indy 500. He had won it previously in 1979. He wins it 2 laps ahead of the field after contenders Tom Sneva and Mario Andretti dropped out in the second half of the race. And finally, on this day in 1987, New York Yankees knuckleballer Phil Niekro became the 3rd pitcher to make his 700th start in Major League Baseball, joining Cy Young and Don Sutton. That's some pretty good company to be in the pitching world. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1912, American golfer Sam Snead. 7 PGA major titles, including he won the Masters in 1949, 1952, 1954. Sam Snead was born in Ashwood, Virginia. He passed away in 2002. Born on this day, 2 big sports stars born on the same day in 1968, which was, by the way, the day George Halas retired. Born on this day in 1968, the Big Hurt, Chicago White Sox first baseman Frank Thomas, who now does like some testosterone pill commercials. Frank Thomas, born on this day in 1968. He was the American League MVP in 1993 for the White Sox. Also born on this day, another pretty darn good baseball player, Baseball Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell of the Houston Astros. He was a Major League All-Star in 94, 96, 97, 99. National League MVP in 94. Gold Glove in 94. Jeff Bagwell, you think of him as a Houston Astro. He was born in Boston, Massachusetts. I did not know that. And finally, born on this day in 1974, the 1996 Heisman Trophy winner, quarterback, Danny Werfel. Huh? Who? Yeah, Danny Werfel. He was a quarterback out of the University of Florida. He had a cup of coffee with the New Orleans Saints, but it didn't work out. Danny Werfel was born in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Little cautionary tale. When a quarterback wins the Heisman Trophy, he does not necessarily have a great NFL career. Am I right? Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow, Matt Leinart, Jason White, Eric Crouch, Chris Winkie, Gino Torretta, and of course, happy birthday, Danny Werfel. We love you, Danny Werfel. Those are your sports birthdays. That's your sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, farm animals, pole assassins, and monkeys, here it is, your Football Friday Salty Shakedown.
Chris, you had me at that Frank Thomas is his name.
The Big Hurt, yeah.
I don't know him as a baseball player. I know him as former baseball player, now doing, as you said, those commercials. And somehow he's roped his wife into him now.
Oh, God.
They've updated them, and so now it's both of them. But
yeah,
good for him.
He's happy, too. Yeah, thank you, Frank.
Yeah, thank you for that. As we know, yesterday evening, rather, I experienced something that was truly life-changing in turtle racing. It was something the last time I was in Houston in March, had gone to this little Woodrow's, was looking at their kind of event schedule because each one has something a little different going on, and noticed that they did turtle racing on Thursday night. So knowing that I would be back and in town on a Thursday, I had it marked on my calendar. I was geared up. I was ready to go. And the action itself did not disappoint. Turtle racing is something, if you can get to it, if you can see it, I highly suggest it. It was a lot of fun. I didn't have to pay to pick a turtle, which was even better because I'm cheap, Chris. But let me tell you, it wasn't all fun and games last night. All right. The poster for this event, 8:00 start. So I'm like, all right, it's already going to be a late night. That's okay. I can accept it because, as we know, Thursday is the start of the weekend. So basically, what is a wake up call on Friday morning? So we get there a little before 8. We Uber over because we know we're going to be drinking. We got there at about 7:30. We get us a table. And after we've been at this table for 20 plus minutes, a lady from the table next to us says, "Hey, we had a bucket of beer here because we're like trying to save. We're gonna have 20 people for this going away party. Can you move?" We did not move because there was no evidence, there was an old ring from an old bucket of beer. There was not a bucket of beer there when we got there, and as we said, we had been there for a while. And we had prime courtside seating. That is until the event actually started and people stood in front of us. But courtside seating to begin with. Not to mention a lovely Mr. fan to go with it as well. We get some drinks. I think last night I consumed some berry flavored vodka. I had me a margarita because, as you know, that's my go-to, and buckets of beer. And by buckets, I do mean plural. So a lot was consumed yesterday evening. Luckily had a big taco because Taco Thursday. I had a big taco dinner prior to. So I was geared up, ready to go. 8:00 hits. I'm thrilled. They've already got the mat out. If you haven't seen the setup, that's over on my Instagram at Shannon B. Sweeney. You can also see the turtles that I went with. I'm not going to say their names because I did name the turtles and have some pretty fun descriptions, but they're all pretty inappropriate. But they were also numbered 1 through 10. So what you would do, the bar would open up the specific turtle bar, and you go over and you say whatever turtle number you wanted, and they handed you a little card, and that was your I keep wanting to say horse, but that was your turtle for that set of races. Each race consists of 4 different little mini races, and a turtle has to win at least 2 of those races to be the ultimate winner. And if you win, you got like a free shot. I think last night was the prize. But Chris, 8 o'clock was supposed to be the start. I want you to guess when the first race actually occurred.
Whew. Now, since you posed the question that way, that helps me and tells me it was
Right.
late. So I'm going to go 8:55.
They're so close, Chris, but it was 9:45.
Oh,
9:45 for the first race. Now the races themselves were very quick and they hyped people up. There were lots of men going around in refs uniforms. One of them was wearing jorts and a cowboy hat, and he was hyping up the crowd. They were tossing out koozies, and we were hands in the air, get me a free koozie, because radio people, we love free koozies.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were going for those, and then they had the turtles in a bucket that doesn't have a bottom, so they asked someone from the crowd to come over and lift up the bucket, and then the turtles kind of slide down, and then they start going and they start racing, and they've got this giant ring circle, and the first one to get outside of the circle wins. And then they reset and they do it 3 more times, because as we said, they do 4 little races within the big race, and your turtle needs to win twice. The first set, 2 folks at my table won. Both turtles won twice within the 4 races, so it was a lot of fun to see that they got a win. And it was already late. As I said, the first one started at 9:45. It was supposed to start at 8. But they said, we'll be back doing this again in 20 minutes. So I was like, all right, I'm already here.
Woo!
I want to win. Let me go get me another turtle. I go over to the turtle bar, and there's a sign that says, not yet. We're not allowing people to pick cards yet. I'm like, okay, I can wait a little bit. 30 minutes go by.
Oh,
And we're just then allowed to start getting our cards. I pick a different turtle at this point. At this point, I go with number 8. My number 4 prior did nothing for me, not even close. So I went with number 8, and then maybe 20 minutes after that, they started the next round of races. Ultimately, Chris, because I am a soothsayer now,
Yes.
number 8 did win for me. I did not go and cash in on that free shot. I decided to keep my little number 8 card and also leave, because it was very late at that point. But a great time, a great experience. Highly recommend it. A lot of fun. It seemed very humane. They weren't like messing with the turtles, and all the referees were very watchful, that making sure people weren't touching the turtles, trying to grab the turtles. Everyone followed the rules, but I had a great time. Highly suggest it. But I am taking a nap immediately after the show today.
This raises a lot of issues. First of all, you did Uber to Little Woodrow's.
Yes.
Smart, because you knew you'd be drinking. We did that in Austin for the concerts. It just takes all the pressure off you.
Yep.
It's like we're here to party, and God bless Uber.
Oh yeah,
Now-
I opened a tab, Chris. I never open a tab.
Good for you.
I got there and I threw my card down.
Yeah, sometimes you got to
We're
live
here
on
for a
the
long
edge.
time and a good time.
Yes. Now, all right. The people who said, "Hey, man, this is our table. We got a big party coming, and we had a bucket of beer here." When you refused to, first of all, how rude of them. Secondly, when you refused to move like they wanted you to, did you get some attitude from them? Did they give you a hard time? Did they give you a dirty look?
So the refusal to move was something like this. We had just had a waitress come over and take our order. We'd already had drinks that we had purchased at the bar, but then there was a waitress, and she was like, "Oh, I can take that. You can have your bar tab open, and we'll close that out to make sure that they get their tips. But I'll this way you don't have to go to the bar." And we were like, perfect. So we told these people, like, well, we just had a waitress. We don't want to we're her table. We don't know how these are spread out. And also they never had as many people as they thought. And no, they didn't need that table, and they never came back over. I think that they were just trying to make more room for themselves. And they weren't even there for turtle racing. So
So
no,
rude.
thank you. I know. Seriously.
Rude and presumptuous, and people like that make me crazy. Finally, my other issue with you, Shannon, your turtle wins.
Issue
The
with
number
me.
8 turtle wins. You have earned a victorious free shot of alcohol,
Mhm.
you don't collect on it. I mean, granted, you've been drinking for hours, but you had an Uber. So I think God wanted you to do one shot. God awarded you a shot. And secondly, if you didn't get the shot, you
Awarded.
should have turned to somebody and said, "Hey man, I just want a free shot. I'm leaving. What are you drinking?" And I would have gone and gotten a shot for a fellow turtle race enthusiast.
So the shots that were free were like the featured beverage of the night, a particular liquor that was berry flavored. I'm not big on the berry. We had actually had 2 drinks with that liquor in it already, because we saw it was featured and wanted to give it a try. And so doing it in shot form, it was already past 11 o'clock. As I said, I was ready to go. The bar was packed because there were a lot of people there. And so there are a lot of winners that come out of this. And immediately everyone goes to the bar to cash in and get their free shot. I was not willing to take another. And it was vodka, Chris. I can handle it. I can do it. But at a certain point, my arms start to feel really heavy. They feel like they're going to fall off. I don't know what to do with myself. It's a whole scene. So I just decided against it because I had already had some vodka, had some tequila, had some beer, had a margarita earlier in the
My
day. I mean, it
goodness.
was a whole thing.
You are a party reptile. And you said that was after 11. And again, we worked the morning show. What time did you get home last night from Little Woodrow's?
Well, luckily one of the friends that we went with, he's also not a big drinker. It just so happens, and he kind of lives near where we needed to be returned to. So he was willing to drop us off. So it was great. We saved some money, didn't have to wait around for an Uber. So I think I got in bed probably close to 11:30 because it was like, it's Houston and it was a pretty decent evening last night, but with all those people, I just sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even yeah. I mean, May 27th or last night, May 26th in Houston, that humidity, my God.
Yeah.
It must be crazy there already this time of year.
When we come back, ask me about my trip to the Natural Science Museum, because that was I was not expecting that I was gonna turn into my mother during that trip, but lo and behold, I did.
That's a nice tease. We will not only find out about Shannon turning into her mother at the Natural Science Museum, but we will dive back into all the big sports stories of the day. We do know, I talked about upcoming football games. We do know now Texas versus Alabama. We know when the kickoff will be. There is reaction to when the kickoff will be. Shannon will walk us through that. A beer video goes viral in the aftermath of the PGA Championship. We will get into that. And a Texas Tech quarterback in his NIL deal affecting his personal life in a pretty big way. Those are some of the stories we will get into. We'll dive back into the NBA playoffs. Warriors are in the NBA Finals. Celtics can join them with a win tonight. Houston Astros, Verlander on the mound today. We'll talk about that as well. Big 8 o'clock hour coming up. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy KOLOK makes the whole show go. Thanks for hanging out till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! All right. I need some ice, baby, for my iced tea. And I might even guzzle some more coffee because I can. I'll give you some more Jeremy KOLOK here since I'm stepping away for a moment. For your viewing pleasure, you know him, you love him. You can't get enough of him. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. I have floated my coffee strato tanker. All right, man. Back in a second. And as always, Mr. Mike Taylor, kind enough to sit in for me. In fact, I might even give you a split screen there because everybody loves Mike Taylor and the Mike Taylor dancers.
From the moment you open
Back in a sec.
to the lowest slow rhythm, to the very last each bite of food. New Kingsford Signature Flavors hardwood pellets tantalize your senses. Kingsford Signature Flavors are made with 100% natural hardwood and 100% real spices to add a whole new rich, full-bodied flavor and aroma to your cookout. New Kingsford Signature Flavors hardwood pellets. Flavor you can see, smell, and taste. Kingsford.com.
Goodbye, bench press. How do you have a squat rack? Turkey out kettlebell. Hey, Kellen, need a spot? No, Jake from State Farm. I'm just saying goodbye to my press and gym membership. What? Tell me about this, love. State Farm has options like insuring your home and ride with great rates on both. Nice. Hey, can I buy you a protein shake or a granola bar? For surprisingly great rates. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Woo! Mike Taylor. Wow, that's cool, Jason. I did not know about that. Bill Schoening was on Mike Taylor Live last night. That's tremendous. That is a very good guest. All right, let me see here. All right, here we come. 8 o'clock hour coming up. Let me see here. Woo! See, Jerry says the ESPN announcers on the radio for the Mavericks Warriors were fun to listen to. That's cool. And as Jason said, Bill Schoening was on the Mike Taylor live YouTube show last night. I might have to go check that replay, Jason. Very cool. Here we come in a sec. Big 8 o'clock hour. Final hour coming up. Woo! Here we come. Am I charging my phone? Yes. Ooh, I got ice. I got ice for my iced tea. That's what I'm talking about. This bud's for you. Woo! Woo! Gonna mute for a moment.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
For our evil Facebook overlords.
Now, Chris Duel.
It It is a football Friday as God intended. Yeah, I know it's not football season, but yes, it is. It is always football season. There is a USFL football. We could always dive into that, but we talk about the National Football League. We already did with Coach A, Paul Alexander. We'll do it again this hour. We've got new information involving college football, including the Texas Longhorns and the Alabama Crimson Tide, and when they shall clash. We now know specifically. We'll get into that. NBA playoffs. The Golden State Warriors punch their ticket to the NBA Finals last night. They beat Shannon's beloved Dallas Mavericks. And tonight, the Boston Celtics with an opportunity in their house to not only punch their ticket to the NBA Finals, but to further make Shannon Salty Sweeney the salty soothsayer that she is, so far predicting every winner of the Triple Crown of horse racing, including the 80-1 shot in the Kentucky Derby. She picked her Dallas Mavericks to fall 4-1 to the Golden State Warriors. Before that series began, she was right. And before the Celtics Miami Heat series began, she and I picked Boston in 6, but I'm not as impressive because I didn't make all those other picks. Jeremy KOLOK, though, picked the Miami Heat in 7. Jeremy, do you stand behind that pick, or are you willing to publicly on the radio rescind your pick because it goes against the salty soothsayer, Shannon Sweeney?
Nah, I thought about it. I'm hesitant, but I'm going to stick with my pick. I just, for transparency's sake, I just want to be a good dude. And, I picked the Heat. Everybody listening knows I picked the Heat. I feel like y'all would do the same thing if it was flipped, if the Celtics were kind of in the hole here. So, just to be transparent here. And, shout out to Shannon. She definitely deserves her props for this morning.
And I am very impressed, Jeremy, that you're sticking to your guns. You're sticking to your pick. You're true to your pick. You're not going to try to weasel out at the last. I gave you the opportunity, but you're not going to try to weasel out at the last second. And you still may be right. This, as George C. Scott in the movie Patton delivered the line, "All glory is fleeting," meaning you may be on a win streak, but eventually you're going to come down off that mountaintop. So who knows? Tonight's Boston Celtics Miami Heat game may bring Shannon Salty Sweeney down off her wild streak of picking games and horse races
and turtles.
And turtles. Yes, turtles. She picked that number 8 turtle last night, and then she turns down her free shot at Little Woodrow's on a whirlwind day and night in Houston for Shannon Salty Sweeney. And Shannon, the cliffhanger that you left us with as part of the Salty Shakedown minutes ago was your journey to the Natural Science Museum in Houston. And this is something that as adults, when this happens, it's something you remember for the rest of your life. That moment you either become your father or that moment you become your mother and you realize, damn, I remember when my mom did that or used to say that. And here I am. You said there was a moment like that for you at the Natural History Museum. Walk us through that.
I love a good theme park. It's not something we as a family have done religiously, because I know there are families that every year this is our Disney trip, this is our whatever trip. But as I've gotten older, there have been rides that my mom is like, I can't, because a lot of the rides now are 3D or 360 or they large video screens, something like that. And when we went recently to Disney World in September, we went on the new Avatar ride. That is kind of a giant screen. You're right in front of it. You wear the glasses. You're on a motorbike almost that feels like you're riding a horse. And there were moments where I had to close my eyes because it felt a little nauseating. And I thought this is just because of the added movement. So yesterday, walking into the planetarium, which was very exciting, looked really cool. You walk in and the dome is just a giant screen with stars everywhere. Sit down in a seat. It's kind of leaned back so you can take it all in. The show starts and it's very educational, and they're jumping from planet to planet, and in doing so, it was very almost like Star Trek-y, Star Wars-y, where it's just you're moving very quickly through space and time. And I couldn't handle it, Chris. I had to keep closing my eyes and then having to turn and be, are we there yet? Did we get to the next planet? Are we at the next moon? Because I can't watch the travel to and from. So that was very much a mom move that has been bestowed upon me. I feel too early, because there are some things I'd still like to say. I would have liked to maybe enjoyed that as a kid. I think I would have loved it. But now I was like, I don't want to look like I'm sleeping. I just need us to get there without me watching it. So that was disappointing. And then I didn't realize I had a fear of butterflies, Chris. And I guess it's because typically you are out in the wild and you see a butterfly and you're like, oh, that's pretty. But it's, that's just one butterfly. We went to the butterfly exhibit. Yeah, there's my mom on the video feed, and there she is. Welcome to my world.
Hi, Mom.
This butterfly exhibit, hundreds of thousands of butterflies just fluttering around, and it's beautiful until they get very close to you, because they have, you're in their home now. They don't care. And the guy before we go in is like, don't touch them, but if they land on you, that's fine. I said, that's not fine. That's not okay with me. And just some of these butterflies are so big that as I'm standing there and they look like they're coming at me, I am like involuntarily dodging and moving around and making noises come out of my body I didn't even know were possible, because apparently I just can't handle a bunch of butterflies fluttering around me at one time. It was kind of embarrassing. But that was my trip yesterday. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I learned a few things about myself.
Okay, now first of all, I totally get the motion, the almost motion sickness in the planetarium as you're traveling from planet to planet. That happens to some people, and closing your eyes. In some movies, my wife is that way. So I'm a total freak. When I was a kid, and to this day, I loved roller coasters. I loved getting thrown around and tilt-a-whirls and all kinds of stuff. So whenever there's crazy motion in a theater or on TV or in a planetarium, it's been a long time since I've been in a planetarium. I love that stuff. And I mean, it's good to know the effects in that Natural Science Museum planetarium in Houston are so moving and realistic. That's cool. I'm going to have to check that out sometime. But I'm a little surprised at your butterfly reaction. What I mean, was it just too many of them? Were you grossed out? Were you afraid that they might relieve themselves on you? I mean, why the aversion to butterflies, which again, as you mentioned, so many people are delighted by butterflies?
Yeah, I don't think it was the butterflies specifically. I think it's just the realization that, like, they're bugs. I don't like bugs, and they're bugs. That's what they are. They're pretty bugs, but they're bugs.
Wow, butterflies are bugs.
And as far as I know, none of them landed on me, which was nice. But just when even though you're standing and watching and looking at all of them fly around from kind of a distance, and all of a sudden one is flying at your face, it's no, thank you.
So majestic, Shannon. I don't know how. Isn't it good luck to?
It
No,
is.
maybe that's Ladybug.
That's
Well, no,
Ladybug.
Ladybug definitely, but I also think, Jeremy, if a butterfly lands on you, that I believe that that's supposed to be like a blessing, that it's supposed to be good luck. So if a bunch of them landed on you, imagine all the luck. I'd go to Vegas after that, or I'd go to turtle racing and try to win some free shots.
Well, that's exactly what I did afterwards. But it took going through the butterfly exhibit to get there. They also had a giant iguana, which was kind of strange, and he was really up high. I think he got himself into a bit of a predicament. I don't know how he's going to get down. And they had some turtles in there too, which I feel like really amped me up for the evening.
Very nice. Kind of a turtle theme going on. Before we dive into some Texas Longhorn, Alabama Crimson Tide talk here in a second, we're all about the shout outs. If you've been around for any length of time hanging out with us on this show, we feel and we're happy that part of our mission, if you've got something very, very cool going on either in your life or somebody you care about and you want us to give them a shout out, that's what we do. Ralph Balderas on the live video feed says, is there any way I can get a shout out for my son, DeMarco Balderas, graduating tonight from George West, Texas? Absolutely. Big round of applause DeMarco Balderas is a graduate as of tonight in George West. Very, very cool, Ralph. We're happy to do that. It is that time of year, Shannon. It is graduation time for a lot of people.
I've seen a lot of folks post baccalaureate pictures, and lots of people just around Houston in the area. We are, I guess, the museum district, a lot of places where those types of events are being held. So a lot of people walking around in their caps and gowns. It's fun to see.
Very, very cool. And I will pass along, and he's a regular listener from the Denver area. Axel J. Miller says, good morning, San Antonio, Texas, from Mile High in Denver. And he says, blessings to the people of Uvalde, Texas. And of course, thank you for that, Axel. And we second that emotion, certainly. Winslow Swart, who is an incredible man. I met Winslow at Geekdom downtown. Geekdom co-founded by Graham Weston, who I mention on this radio program quite a bit. Winslow reminded us, Winslow is an incredible a thinker, an athlete, a martial artist. He's written some incredible books. I've got one of Winslow's books. And Winslow reminded everybody, and I want to pass this along as well, in the aftermath of Uvalde and that horrible, horrible tragedy, there are still a lot of people injured and in need of help, and not only in Uvalde, but some of them have been brought here to San Antonio. And I saw Winslow joining us right now on the live video feed post that one of the best things you can do is give blood. And I saw somebody else post that they need all kinds of blood donations, but if you are type O, either O positive or type O blood, especially, if you can donate blood, that's one way you can help. In a situation like that mass shooting in Uvalde, we all feel so helpless. That is a big, 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 big way you can help, no matter what your blood type. So I'm glad I see you in here this morning, Winslow, because it reminds me, and I retweeted and reposted his message about donating blood now and in a time like this. And you can do it at University Hospital in San Antonio, the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. If you're listening in Austin, of course, many places in Austin and across Texas that you can do that. Now, Shannon, speaking about across Texas and the great state of Texas, while I spoke with Coach A, Paul Alexander, about the big Texas versus UTSA football game at DKR, 7 p.m. On September 17th. It's on my radar, on my calendar, the big Texas-Alabama clash, which is going to be absolutely huge, is coming as well. And Shannon, we now know a kickoff time for that battle. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, it was announced a short while ago that Texas and Alabama would be facing off on Fox, and everyone was saying, okay, well, give us the time then. And a lot of people went ahead and assumed that it would be at 11 a.m. Central Time, which is typically the big money-making window for Fox and their college football coverage. Because that game doesn't necessarily compete with the four-letter network in the way that potentially a night game would. But a lot of people really hoping that that wouldn't be the case. However, Joel Klatt, who is a part of that broadcast booth with Gus Johnson for those big noon kickoff games, said, you already know what time it is. Well, yesterday we got confirmation that, yes, the kickoff for that game will in fact be at 11 a.m. DKR, Texas versus Alabama. And it's great that they're going to have the platform as far as television is concerned, right? That'll be a game that a lot of people tune into. However, that game is September 10th. September 10th at 11 a.m., Austin, Texas. It's going to be hot, and it's going to be hotter than hot on the field for those young men. I know Matthew McConaughey tweeted his excitement about it, but he's not the one that has to suit up and play in those conditions. And he also has his own suite at DKR that probably has air conditioning, where the rest of us are just slumming it out in the regular old DKR stand. So I, as excited as I am about the competition of this game, going is going to be another thing. Yeah.
And I just think as well, and I know, consideration number one, the players and the heat, and obviously for Fox and for college football, they want their biggest audience, so they're going with this 11 o'clock start. But what I think sucks, and Shannon, as an alum, you've been to so many games ever since you were a kid. Your family took you to Texas Longhorn games at DKR. And a number of years, I was up there doing some radio pregame that actually you were involved with it sometimes before the games, and just seeing part of the fun, the tailgating, food trucks, drinks, everybody, getting ready for the game. But with an 11 o'clock kickoff, you got to be either in place or making your way to the stadium by 10:30.
Mhm.
So unless you really want to start tailgating at 8:30 a.m. or 9 o'clock.
Kegs and eggs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's unfair to Longhorn fans. And I know it's a thing, and I know there's a lot of college games that start at 11 a.m. So I guess it is what it is. But I think it's unfortunate.
I'm curious how much sway the schools get in having a say or a suggestion, because as we know, anyone who's watched a game on TV or been to DKR in recent years, for as many seats as there are in that stadium, there's plenty that have been available, especially in the student section. I mean, they've really struggled with how they're giving out tickets to students, how they're letting students in, and how they are assigned seats throughout DKR, and that's something that they're continuing to work on. But those 11 a.m. games are rough on those students. They're next to no shows. I'm sure because it's Alabama that they'll still get plenty of folks who come in, but depending on how that Friday night is before, depending on how Texas does in the previous games against ULM and UTSA, or how they're looking, rather. I guess I won't play UTSA quite yet, but how they're looking after that first game is really going to, be a predictor of how many kids are going to be willing to get up, or stay up rather, to get to that game and be early, be loud, and stay late. Because as we know, Texas fans love to hit the exits when it's not looking great.
Now, you mentioned UTSA, Shannon. As I look at this Alabama-Texas game, it's September 10th. It's a week before UTSA comes to DKR to take on the Texas Longhorns. And I got to believe, on so many levels, win or lose, Texas is going to be sky high, the players, for that Alabama-Texas game on September 10th. They're going to leave it all out on the field, obviously, and they're either going to win. It's going to be one of the greatest wins in recent Texas Longhorn history, or Alabama's going to do what Alabama does, and it's going to be a tough, heart-wrenching loss for Texas. I think, Shannon, either way, and as I talk, and we talked with Coach A, Paul Alexander, about it a few minutes ago, the very next week when UTSA comes to DKR, I think there's because Alabama was the week before, I think there's a higher potential for a letdown for the Texas Longhorns. Before I get your reaction, Shannon, let me go to Jeremy. And probably knowing Jeremy, the hardest working man in radio, I know Jeremy has engineered a lot of UTSA football and basketball games. And Andy Everett certainly will have the call on Ticket 760 and across the UTSA Roadrunner radio network. So, Jeremy, you'll probably be working that game on Saturday. It's actually a night game, Saturday night, September 17th at DKR. But do you think I'm just delusional and wishful thinking when I believe that there's a higher probability of a letdown for the Longhorns, or maybe a fog and a funk for the Longhorns coming off that game the week before against Alabama?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that Alabama game goes down, because I think that could impact it, obviously, what carries into the next week. But I feel like there's not as big of a drop-off here between a Texas and a UTSA as obviously there have been in years past. And I think it's so fun because UTSA is obviously under the University of Texas umbrella, and that's part of why it would be such a delicious upset for San Antonians and UTSA fans if they were to win. But I don't think the drop-off is that drastic. I mean, UTSA beat Baylor like 5 or 6 years ago at Baylor. So that's another Big 12 team. Obviously, that's not the University of Texas. But with the direction that Jeff Traylor has taken this program, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I don't even think it would be a huge upset. Obviously, an upset, but I just think that these teams are a little bit closer together than the general public might think.
All right, Shannon, you just heard from Jeremy. Is he out of his mind to think that the teams are kind of closer than people think? And I'm kind of with Jeremy on this, and you as well, Shannon. We talk to Jeff Traylor every week during the football season. We've become kind of insiders when it comes to UTSA football. Knowing what you know about UTSA and knowing what you know about Texas, what is your level of appropriate fear for this football game?
Nothing against UTSA, Coach Traylor, but I don't have any fear. And Jeremy's right. It's not UTEP, which in that last matchup, Texas beat UTEP 59-3. It'll definitely be closer than that. But UTSA's lost a ton of great players. Texas bringing in a ton of great players, and obviously have a lot of guys that are returning. A lot of great skill players. Obviously, new quarterback. But for me, it is a bit of a trap game in that I fear that if they win against Alabama, they will overlook UTSA, and that game could, feel uncomfortable for a moment of time. So Texas needs to keep their head right. Everyone hated Tom Herman. We're going 1-0. We're going 1-0. But that's kind of the mentality you're going to need, especially when you have a game like Alabama and then UTSA. I think it's going to be easy for those kids to say in their mind, it's just UTSA, that's little brother, whatever. But I fear that losing to Alabama would give them more motivation to beat UTSA than winning against Alabama to then go on and beat UTSA.
All right, man. That's still just a going to be fun no matter what, to see it all unfold. Coming up, I do want to get to a couple of these stories that Shannon is tracking. A beer moment goes viral at the PGA Championship, and it rewards a fan in an unexpected way. And a Texas Tech quarterback using the NIL deal to get something else he wants in his life. We'll talk about that and more. One more segment remaining. Don't go anywhere. We're with you till 9. You're listening to The Chris Duel Show. Thank you, Winslow, if you're still here. And absolutely, man. When I saw your post the other night reminding everybody that you can donate blood, and that's one way you can help. That's a big deal, and I certainly appreciate that. All right, let's see here. I got ice. I got coffee. My coffee lukewarm? Pretty much. How are we doing here? Give you some Jeremy KOLOK. I'll be back in 35 seconds. Woo! Frank Ramirez, good morning. What is up, Frank?
ever smelled so good. Introducing new Kingsford Signature Flavors. Made with 100% real spices. Kingsford Signature Flavors flavor boosters can be added to any pre-lit charcoal or bought pre-mixed with Kingsford charcoal briquettes to add a whole new rich, full-bodied flavor and aroma to your cookout. For flavors you can see, smell, and taste, new Kingsford Signature Flavors. Kingsford.com.
All right.
Nothing feels more like summer than bare feet on freshly cut grass. And this Memorial Day, the Home Depot has savings on all the things you need to get your lawn in the shape. Get hassle-free cutting, trimming, and cleaning power with cordless lawn tools from Ryobi. Whatever your lawn needs, we have tools to get the job done that won't leave you till done. So what are you waiting for? It's time to move the grass between your toes. Feels like Memorial Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Take your vinyl, man. My budget doesn't. All the time left. Don't leave it up. Stay on this option.
Woo!
Like today. Stay Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Let's see here. Okay, that's a little crooked. Almost back. Axel J. Miller. Yeah, we talked about Sincere McCormick yesterday, Axel. Yeah, I hope he sticks around, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi is out, according to John Williams. That is cool, cool, cool. Much appreciated. Man, I'm still down on the Mandalorian. I still am behind on that. I'm a Star Wars fan, but I got a lot to catch up on. Woo! Woo! Almost back. One more segment, and we will begin this weekend. Actually, we began the weekend yesterday. So here we go.
Back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney.
Little Jackson Brown. Jeremy KOLOK. Excellent choice, sir. Last October, my wife and I saw Jackson Brown and James Taylor at the Toyota Center in Houston. If you can ever catch Jackson Brown live, he's still got it. He's on TikTok a lot now, and he's on social media. A lot of TikTok. He shows himself like developing new songs and stuff. So if you're a TikTok person, go follow Jackson Brown on TikTok. Welcome back. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney, the man who played that tune for you. Jeremy KOLOK is your Soundscape stylist. Thank you very much. Want to get to a couple more items here that we haven't covered yet. Shannon, you are tracking. You're a big, you're our golf. Yeah, Andy Everett used to be our golf guru. Shannon, you're kind of becoming the golf guru because you always pick the winners in these PGA tournaments. And you did in the most recent one, the PGA Championship. But apparently not just were there golfers that were winners, a fan kind of a winner as a result of the PGA Championship. What's this story all about?
Yeah, well, Chris, as we know, you were at the Moody Center, both the Moody Center and ACL Moody Theater last weekend to take in some concerts. And I'm sure while you were there, no one had their phone out to record anything or take a photo of anything, that they were, just totally locked in, just living in the moment. And as we know, the same thing happens in sports. No one wants to get a picture of their favorite athlete as close as they can. And Tiger Woods, even though he had one of the worst rounds and majors in his career, a lot of people still obviously followed him around and had their phones out and were taking pictures. And there's one particular photo from the media side of things, so a professional photo, which features Tiger and the crowd behind him just all with their phones out, except for one gentleman standing on the front line, no phone, but using both hands to hold on to one of those $18 Michelob Ultras, which if it's $18, you better two hands on the wheel at all times.
Yep.
Don't let that one go. But because of this, everyone started talking about it. They were like, look, he's the only one actually paying attention. He's the only one there for golf. He's the only one taking in that moment of watching Tiger while everyone else is looking at it through their phone. And so Michelob caught wind of this. They love the photo. They are now selling Michelob Guy merch. And they're asking fans for design input, and they obviously sent him a ton of free Michelob, which deserving after paying $18 for that beverage. But who knew that following around now Tiger's going to have even more people following him, and they're going to be doing other things like that with some sort of brand and logo, because they're like, that could be my shining moment. Because all the media's eyes are going to be on Tiger. Why not have them on me as well?
That is so cool. And especially because, Shannon, you were the one who told us it was part of the Salty Shakedown about beers at that event costing $18
Yeah.
for a 25-ounce can of Michelob Ultra. So, wow. I love a story like that. I love when a fan becomes a star just for being a fan. And in that case, just for being a beer drinker. Another story involving money and video and social media and more.
Yeah.
A Texas Tech quarterback gets kind of more than he bargained for, or does he, involving NIL, name, image, and likeness. What is this story all about?
Yeah, I was reminded of this story yesterday when we were talking about Kawhi Leonard and how people think he is now engaged, as his girlfriend is sporting a very lovely ring on that finger. And you talked about how so many people, when they get engaged, it's all about the Instagram, it's all about the Twitter. They immediately rush to post the photos, and everyone's getting professional photos done. Well, the quarterback for Texas Tech, Tyler Show, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's got an NIL deal with a jeweler up in Lubbock. The Jack I can't even Thacker jeweler, must be a family thing. But anyway, he proposed to his girlfriend on a beach. They're now engaged, and instead of the usual kind of post you get with an engagement announcement, at the bottom of it, he has to throw in the jeweler as a sponsor. It is an ad and proposal at the same time. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like, yeah, you probably saved a lot of money for getting that ring for free, but also what a way to take, you're kind of dampening the moment a little bit by having your official announcement come with an hashtag ad at the bottom of it. But quite interesting. And I mean, again, if you can get it, why not?
Yeah, but I didn't think about it until you put it that way. The woman, when you want to get engaged to a woman, you go get a ring, and it's very traditional. And you got to wonder, did he luck out and not have to pay as much for the ring? But then again, on the flip side, so many people now just love social media, and for as she is having that moment of being proposed to and getting the ring because of that jewelry company NIL deal, her moment now goes viral. So I don't think she's uncool with it, but you never know. That's Jeremy, what do you think? If you were going to get engaged and could have a jewelry company either give you the ring or give you a great discount with the ring, but you would have to give them credit on social media, would you go for it? And do you think the woman would be justified in being a little miffed by it?
It seems like you're kind of finding an easy way out here to get that task accomplished. And if you're getting an endorsement and didn't have to post it on social media, then maybe you can make it work. But doesn't that just seem non-genuine a little bit?
Ooh, I see.
Bit of a sellout.
Shannon,
was he gonna propose prior to this deal, or did the deal come and they were like, "Hey, what's your relationship status?"
Or might it be a little fake that, may she out it thinking, hey, man, you got this deal with the jewelry company. Does he really love me? Would he have done this at all if he didn't have the jewelry NIL deal? Wow. That could add some doubt into her mind.
Very, very well could.
She might be in on it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be.
She probably got to pick out whatever ring she wanted.
The whole thing might be just for the optics.
Could be a ruse.
Endorsement.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, you're not really my girlfriend, but you're good looking, and wouldn't this make a cool video for my NIL company?
I'm gonna make a lot of money here, so just roll with it.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, great stuff there. As we roll into near the top of the hour, we're at 45 right now, 8:45. We mentioned this earlier with Coach A, Paul Alexander. It's been a rough week in America for so many of us. Thank God. Most of us were not directly impacted by that horrible mass shooting in Uvalde. I found out last night, a very good friend of my sister-in-law, didn't know this until last night. Her granddaughter was killed in that mass shooting. And I have met this woman, the grandmother, a number of times. And it's just so sad and so tragic. And we've said it throughout the week, even though we talked a lot about Uvalde. We are a sports talk show, and we understand that, and that's our job, and we do that. So on the way out of this show on this Friday, as we embark on the weekend, I think Shannon as well and Jeremy just want to show a little gratitude to the people who have supported us and continue to support us on this show. I see a lot of people still on the live video feed. However, you have listened to this show, if you're listening now on the radio, on the iHeartRadio app, on the live video feed, it means so much to us. You know, we don't do this show in a vacuum. We do this show for you. And so many times the feedback we've gotten has been phenomenal and it has taken us to a higher level and in another direction. So we thank the people who support the show, not only listeners and viewers, but sponsors. We're not here without the sponsors, and we thank them so much. I just also want to thank Shannon and Jeremy. First of all, Shannon Salty Sweeney, huge talent, and it ain't easy being a woman, a trailblazer in a male-dominated medium, which is sports talk radio. But Shannon has always held her own and kicked butt and done a lot of the heavy lifting. Those two stories we just talked about, Shannon found them. She's done a lot of the heavy lifting on this show. The Salty Shakedown, we heard Don Harris the other day from News 4 say it's one of his favorite things on radio. So my thanks and my gratitude to Shannon Salty Sweeney, Jeremy KOLOK, crowd goes wild, our studio audience. My thanks is Jeremy KOLOK. We had no idea, and I know Shannon feels the same way, that Jeremy would be as good as he is, and he's outstanding. Such a talent, so dedicated, and brings perspectives onto the air with us that we never saw coming. He says things a lot of times, and I go, oh my God, I didn't think about it that way. So my huge thanks. I have been so happy, especially when it's been the three of us now, Shannon and Jeremy, to work with both of you has been a privilege and an honor and a lot of fun. And I think especially lately, we got rid of this delay issue we had technically, and we've been able to kind of really riff a little more. So Shannon, as we head on out, I just wanted to thank you. Thanks, Jeremy, and get your thoughts as we bid farewell on a Friday.
Well, and thank you, Chris, because obviously, you know, you had a good thing going, and then I kind of dropped in and have enjoyed my time, and you know, people who are around us personally, they get that, you know, we have weird hours, we do weird things, we nap in the middle of the day, and for anyone who's put up with my schedule or put up with me waking them up before the sun rises so I can get to work, it's greatly appreciated, for understanding that I can't go to every event, you know, especially during the week, that you know, there's reason behind it, and you know, the three of us, we're a little family unit because we get it. We understand what each of us is going through. And that's great that we not only can communicate well on this show, but, you know, we've gotten into some text conversations and some Twitter conversations, and, you know, we're not just coworkers. You know, we do enjoy each other's company on and off the air.
Well, and I will say, when you came and joined you elevated the show. I was doing a thing, you know, myself solo. Your participation has elevated this show, and it's been a pleasure. Jeremy KOLOK, we didn't leave you with a whole lot of time, but because we blab a lot, and I certainly do. But wanted to get your thoughts on this Friday as we begin to embark upon the weekend.
Yeah, Chris, Shannon, I just want to say that I sincerely appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Y'all brought me in here and let me join the family. Y'all let me join the show. I feel like such a part of the family, and I will always appreciate y'all for that. And you know, y'all are two of my favorite people. It has been beyond a dream to be a part of this. And I just thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I highly recommend, if you're not already following Shannon and Jeremy on Twitter and across social media, Shannon at Shannon B. Sweeney, Jeremy at Jeremy KOLOK. The party never ends. It just changes locations. Keep an eye on Jeremy and on Shannon, and have a great weekend. And we're going to go out with some Beatles. On a previous radio show, in a previous incarnation, I would always go out with this music called The End by the Beatles. And we say, have a great weekend. Thank you for everything. And we will see you somewhere down the line. Adios, amigos. I got to mute for Facebook or they're going to kill the video. Here it comes.